Man, I'm so bored. What can I do? Oh, here's something you're not expecting. I made a comic book series. So yeah, I made a comic book series of a superhero I made approximately 6 years now. Yeah. And I kind of didn't like it that much. Story time, yeah! And so it all started at Jimmy John's. I'm not even joking, I even wrote that there. And so his boss told this guy, Dennis, that's his name for all eternity, that he should go home and just rest. And so he walked home, and then he went into an alleyway because he's dumb and bought a potion for approximately, I don't know, 20 bucks maybe. And then he went back home, and then he just guessed it was Gatorade or something. So he drank it, and actually just like drank the entire thing without any like caution or anything. And so he gets, he turns into a tornado, and then he's just like dizzy. And then he realized something. He has 6 limbs. Oh, and yeah, he just feels powerful. And so he just thinks that he's a superhero, which also was probably one of the fakest reactions I would ever see. So, and then he just like, oh yes, I'll be a superhero with 4 legs. And then he's like, oh, just gonna go make a costume now. And then this happened. A outfit that fits him so well that there was no job intended. Oh yeah, and he also just jumps off his house just to see if he can fly, which is kind of dumb if you ask me. Oh yeah, and this guy, we'll get to him later. So anyway, the next day, you got Clark. This is our next protagonist. You have to wait and see. And so he talks to him, and he's like, oh, I saw a superhero last night. And he's like super worried about it now. And then he just immediately thinks different. I was like, man, I'm lonely. I should probably have someone helping me with crime. Oh yeah, and by the way, this man only took about 4 hours to make a single robot, which is probably the smartest thing he's ever done. So basically, this guy is even smarter than the smartest man in the world. Also, I can't get this out of my head. This looks like a sock. And next up is one of my favorite side characters I've ever made, Body. He's a robot who can extend his limbs. That's something. Hello, do I have a purpose? Why did I write that? And then he's just explaining that he can use his arms and limbs to like go anywhere and just beat the crap out of people. So yeah, that's something. He turns back into a tornado, and then he just like went into his outfit because apparently he has it in his pocket. He's stoked. He thinks it's amazing. And then they heard a crash sound, which is miles away, which means this guy has the ears. Yeah, that one chick from Encanto. And they were just immediately serious. So, and what's funny is that they immediately know what they're doing. He was just born for about like a minute or so. And then there's just a guy who's running off, and he's like, stop. And he speaks that. And he's like confused, and he says his language again. And yeah, some stupid action scream, and then he just like slams him down. He seems to see something. And what is up is that this was a mask all along. And they're just like, what is this? And it's like, oh, something bad. Honestly, they just look like, yeah, I don't know. And then there's like the big bad guy who's like, oh, so he caught one of my minions. And then, oh God, what happened here? Caught off. And then he's like, General, tell the others to attack. Ooh, who are the others? And he's like, yes, sir. And then he does this moo ha 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 evil laugh. He's like, oh, is he gonna save the world? Find out on the next sequel. Here's something funny to realize. I did a how to draw, but I never did the how to draw until the second book for the main man himself, because I did it for my favorite characters, which is odd, by the way. Sequel time! So we start off with a recap of what happened in the first one. If you don't remember, too bad. So this actually happened like the second after what happened. Oh yeah, and he just like, oh, let's just take him back home. And actually, he's like, you guess? So yeah, they took him back home, and then they were like, let's just keep him until further notice. Let's just see what happens. Oh yeah, and after like these rest of the 3 books, they just forgot about it. And I never like focused on the fact, oh yeah, they took one of those things home. Oh yeah, and then by the way, this guy's name's Electro, also known as Marvel. Please don't sue me. So, and he's like, sir, all of the, oh yeah, by the way, these are called electrons, even though I didn't know they were also known as an atom. Excellent, we shall start at midnight, he said. And then it's like the next day. Look, it's Jimmy John's. What is that car? And so they're talking about getting a new employee, and it's a she. That means it's a girl. And so we're introduced to Stacy, one of the other characters that are pretty important now, actually. And so, yep, can't have a superhero video without falling in love with a lady. So this is Stacy. She's at the new job, and then she's like spaced out because of her. And Clark is like, "You good, man?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then he's like, "Home," and then Buddy just dashed over. He's like, "Hey, how's work today?" And then they're talking a bit, and then they heard a boom sound because they still have that big hearing affection or something. I don't know. So he goes and checks. He does that tornado thing, and then body jump scare. And he's like confused of what he did wrong. Oh yeah, and then a bunch of those like electron things are like taking over the town while everyone else is asleep. They're just there. Oh yeah, by the way, if you see the erase part, his arms were like way longer than they're supposed to be. And he's like, oh no, there's way more of them. What do we do? And then they were just like, oh, let's go fight them. And this is the first action scene, fully. You can tell because of how many panels there are, very little. And so he's like, attack. And then they started beating the crap out of everyone. And he's like, yeah, we did it. Whoa! And then, okay, I'm out of breath. And they're like, yeah, we didn't die. Until the general was like, oh, here. Also, what's funny is that they already know his name. Like, didn't even be like, no, that's not my name. I never thought of a superhero name. Anyways, I'm talking too much. So they surround him, and they're just like, well, we're dead, even though we can do the same thing again. And then some mysterious character came out of nowhere, and he's like, electrons, beat him up. And then they die. And then what's next is that the general got the backhand. Wait, what side isn't even their hands? I don't even know anymore. But get this, they did do the thing again. And then he's gonna like kill him, and he's like, wait, hold on, what if he had like important things? So we just like take him to jail or something? So anyways, he's like, hey, who set you up? And he's like, you'll have to kill me to do it. And then and then Body tangled him up, hold him upside down, which is the worst feeling. And he's like, hey, who set you up? And he's like, okay, I'll tell. Turn into a baby. So he's saying the city will be taken in 2 days from now at noon, and from the cavern on the east side. Yep. He's like, is that all? Yes. And he's like, good. So anyway, they just send him to prison. And this is another time where he's smart, and he also just looks stupid. Like literally, he looks very weird. And then they're off to prison. It sounds funny to me, and I don't know why. It shouldn't be. So they're off, and he's like, hey, sir. But is that even a sir? You never know, because they never bring it up again. And then there's like a wait, and he's like, who said that? And then you just hear a tapping noise. And who is it? It's Dino Man. You never know who he is but you'll see. And then he's like, hey, don't freak out. And Body's like confused who this is. And then the general is like, oh wait, I think that's the same thing who beat up my minions. And he's like, oh wait, your name is this and this. Except they were interrupted by Captain Four-Legs, because he's got to be like, we gotta save the world, action scene, yeah. And there's a to be continued. So are the heroes gonna team up? And will we ever know about this strange character? Find out on the next Captain Four-Legs Book 3, The Final Battle. Whoa. Coming soon. Wait, what's that over there? Oh. So yeah, that's Captain Four-Legs 1 and 2. We'll cover the rest soon. If you guys want to see more of that, I don't know, like, comment it, like it or something, if comments exist on this thing. Yeah.